Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 23rd, 2022 Planning Board meeting. If we could please first stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first we got correspondence. I see Planning Magazine article in praise of the humble sidewalk. I'll have to give this to my day boss, Paul Feiner. Okay. Anybody have any comments or concerns about the meeting minutes of May 9th, 2022?
None here.
Move to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move into the regular portion of the meeting. First on the agenda is the Shrub Oak International School. This is a public hearing. Location is 3151 Stony Street. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Counselor?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Good to see you all. David Steinmetz from the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz here this evening, representing the Shrub Oak International School. I'm joined by my client, Brian Koffler, and our project engineer and planning firm, Jerry Schwabe from Divney Tongue Schwabe Provident Engineering. I'm going to be very brief because we've been in front of you on this for quite some time. As you all know, this is a school on Stony Street for autistic individuals. It was approved by your board several years ago with several different phases. We've come back to you with a slightly amended overall master plan, modifying some of the sequencing and some of the specific on-site infrastructure, stormwater basins, parking, etc. We've been discussing with your board and with your staff the request that we had received from the town to attempt to accommodate some parking for the adjacent town ball fields and park, and possibly integrate that in conjunction with our site and eliminate our southern driveway. There's been some back and forth with staff on that. We've suggested that we try to defer a final determination on that, possibly to a later phase, since there is no immediate need for any additional on-site access. We have more than adequate on-site circulation and parking, and we're very pleased with the cooperation we've gotten from the town and your staff, and we're really pleased that the school is absorbing, doing well, but it's got quite a ways to go to be fully occupied with a full staff and a full residential group. We're happy to share the site plan if you want it, Mr. Chairman.
Maybe you could do just a brief overview.
Sure. Jerry, you want to just do a... He's trying to bring it up right now.
Uh-oh.
Happened last time too.
Otherwise, give me a chalkboard and some chalk, and I'll do the best I can to illustrate it.
The
Old
old fashioned.
school?
The old school.
Well, it's kind of a rectangle, and there's a building in the middle with a driveway that loops in.
127 acres.
Come on, Jerry, feed me something else.
I'm sorry, it's not connecting for some reason. I don't know why.
Robin, do you have the ability to...
What do you want to show?
Just our site plan.
My IT guys can handle it.
Go ahead. Tap dance.
Well, hopefully he'll get it up, but so the site had a previous site plan application several years ago. As you recall,
That ain't my fault, Jerry. I think I was.
Is that you?
I think it was me.
Whatever, you got some... We're good. We're good.
My fault.
No worries. So this is the an aerial view of the campus that currently was condition of what right before they began development and restoration of the site. The entrance road is on Stony Street. There's some parking in the front of the building and also on the side of the building. And the reason we're here for this application is to modify the site plan itself, some minor changes that we're making, some of which you had seen in last year's application with a new configuration of a driveway to serve the parking lot on the east side of the building. And we here to talk about the different phases that we're proposing. And you can see in the different color configurations, the beige being what's called phase 2. And then phase 2 is the plan to allow for an expansion of approximately 233 spaces altogether on top of what they have already. The school is growing. There was about 70 students in the building currently, so this will get them a good move ahead in some ways to let them have growth and not have to worry about not having enough parking, because they are kind of at that limit at this point. So then the next phase would be the blue phase, which adds a little bit more parking in the rear. Also that service emergency access road to the south, which would connect, as we had shown in Granite Knolls Park. And then the green area is the final fourth phase, so to speak, to allow for some other uses. There's an animal grazing area that's used for teachings with the kids as they go outside. Stormwater management practices, as you know, we submitted a plan to Dan's office updating the phase 2 drainage systems. And then we have phase 3 and 4, which we had some soil testing done in the south part of the site to support the rest of the improvements. Everything else stays the same. A little bit of landscaping here and there that we're proposing. Entrance road stays the same. Very modest changes in a way, following the grades that are out there. So not much change at all. So if there's any other specific questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Okay.
So.
Any questions from the board at this
None
time?
here. No.
No.
John?
Nothing at present.
Jim?
Nothing from me.
We'll open it up to the public. Anybody have any questions, you can come on up. Anyone?
Motion to close public hearing.
No one's interested.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's a quick night for you.
Too easy.
Huh?
Thank you all.
Very
And
good.
I thank Mr. Rena for agreeing to allow me to go before him on the agenda this evening.
Poor Joe.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you at the next one.
Good night.
Okay.
Take care.
Good luck in Banksville. Okay, we are gonna move Dorchester Glen. Oh. We are gonna move the Dorchester Glen subdivision up in front of Pied Piper because we're gonna wait for a quorum. So right now we have the Dorchester Glen subdivision. This is a public informational hearing. Location is 1643 Maxwell Drive. Do I have a motion to open up the public informational hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you changing the code, Robin, or is it the same code?
Oh, you have to be using on the next one.
Yes. So I got my letter in. Keep myself out.
So is Rob on?
Haley's gonna be called in.
Good evening, Joseph Farina, the Principal Site Design Consultants, representing the Kinkard family who are subdividing their property, which is 24.6 acres. It's zoned R120, which requires a minimum of 20,000 square feet per lot. By the way, this is a public informational hearing. This isn't the final public hearing for the project. It's just to bring the public in so they can understand what's going on with the application. The property is accessed. There are two access points to the property: Maxwell Drive to the north and Dorchester Drive to the west. As I said, the property is 24.5 acres in size. There's an existing residence where the Kinkards live that's located right here. And that has access, currently has access off of Maxwell Drive. So the proposal is to subdivide this into 5 lots total, including the existing residence. All of the lots will exceed by a large margin the minimum lot area requirement of 20,000 square feet. The proposal that you see in front of you here is a conventional layout, which meets all of the bulk standard requirements for that zone, as far as lot frontage, depth, setbacks, etc. What we've asked the planning board to do, and they've agreed to, and we will be approaching the town board to do, is to apply flexibility standards to this project. So it gives us a little more ability to locate the houses and driveways in appropriate locations on the property, both from an aesthetic point of view and from a physical point of view to create the least amount of disturbance. The smallest lot would be this one that's to the west that abuts the current Dorchester Heights subdivision. That's about 3/4 of an acre. And as you make your way around in a clockwise direction, you can see the lot sizes get increasingly bigger. We will be bringing in a private road that would be owned and maintained by the 5 property owners. The town will not be responsible for maintenance of that. We'll be providing stormwater management for the entire project, as well as public sewer and public water connection to service each house. Along this border, the easterly border of the property, there is a stone wall which clearly delineates this back area of the site with the lots that are being proposed. And that, at this point, is suggested that it be donated to the town, or either donated to the town, or it could be left as open space. That's the extent of my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So this is a public informational hearing, so it's the first time the public has seen this. Anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? Please come up to the podium, state your name and address, and we'll hear your questions. No one? It's a very exciting group tonight.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Susan.
I just seen this for the first time. Could you explain that rear portion that you talked about possibly donating to the town? Does that connect to any existing town open space? What logical reason would there be, for the town to accept that? Or could you just put it into a conservation easement and not burden the town?
Susan, if you could just state who you are for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Susan Siegel. Thanks.
I don't think anybody knew who you were in the room, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yes, there is this is contiguous in open space to another subdivision to the south. So this will provide linkage from that, which I think may connect all the way to, and John, I don't know if it connects all the way to the county property or not.
You talk about Hanover East?
Yeah, Hanover East, yeah. The back of Hanover East, does that connect all the way through?
Possible, but I
Yeah.
think there's some properties between it, but it's possible. We'd have to take a look.
Okay, so this would provide that link between Hanover East. This property abuts the Grange Fair, so there is a potential for continuation all the way across and into the Heights area.
Okay.
All right.
Anyone else? Please. If you could just state your name for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Full name or just
Your full name, please.
full name?
Yeah.
Hey, Paul Raffone, I'm the neighbor to this property. So my question would be, is this next to me? Is this next to my property? This continuation, so this open space,
You got to
that's
speak into
gonna
the mic.
be for
Oh, yeah, sorry.
whoever to be next to my property, or how does that work out? Which I could also call you on the side if I need to. But if it backs up against the Grange, then I'd want to know what that's going to be used for, or who could access that, what could they do?
Yeah. Okay.
And then my other question would be more so, it may fall under the town because the Moseman waterway where the brook goes through, that overpass is collapsing, and I had the highway put 2 Jersey barricades there, maybe 3-4 years ago. So I don't know that it would be this project, but what would be done about that? Because it's almost collapsed, and the road was closed at Peter Pratt's for like 3 years.
All right, so I saw Joe just nodded it's not part of his project.
Right.
But what I would do is reach out to the highway superintendent,
I don't know him, right?
Dave Paganelli,
Yeah.
and we have one of the councilmen as our liaison here. I'm sure he's taking notes. I'm watching him as we speak.
The who? Who's it?
Our councilman right here is liaison Sergio, so I would reach
Sergio.
out to the board
Yeah.
too.
Hey, Sergio, good. Excellent.
I'm sure they'll follow up with what you're concerned about.
All right, so but that property then, is that next to me? Is it just behind me? That's next. Okay. All right.
If I could just, can you just take my email down and shoot me an email, like, as soon as you're ready, and then I'll definitely reach out to you, figure out exactly what we're talking about, and then we'll
Sure.
try to get to the bottom.
Sure.
S. Esposito
S. Esposito
at yorktownny.org.
at yorktownny.com.
Yes?
Org.
Org.
Okay, .org. Sorry about
Makes a
that.
difference.
Thank you. Yeah, big difference.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? We've seen this a few times. Anything from the board?
No.
John?
Nothing at this time.
Jim?
Nothing from me.
We have a motion to close the public informational hearing.
Motion to close.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next public hearing is the Pied Piper Preschool, locations 2090 Compound Road. We were going to get one of the other members on the phone. I do have to recuse myself, so I will step out. Aaron's in charge.
Can we do this? Jim,
Yes, you can do this.
thank you. Okay. This is a public hearing on a Pied Piper preschool. It's an application to modify the existing site plan to add a row of parking to accommodate an existing play area. I'd like to recognize the applicant, and you can briefly present what changes you're looking for, and then we'll go into the public hearing.
Sure.
A motion to open,
Motion.
second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay.
Good evening,
ahead.
Joseph Rena, the principal site design consultant, representing Pied Piper Preschool. The owners of the preschool are here, Kathy Deneen, Maxwell, and Minnie. This application or this plan that's before you is to make a modification to the approved site plan for this project. In the area that you see the 4 red lines there, those parking spaces, those are originally expected to be head-on parking spaces into the site or into the building. In order to maintain an existing play area, the applicant would like to modify that and eliminate 2 spaces and instead have, instead of 6, have 4 parking spaces, which would be angled parking, which work fine with the current configuration of the driveway exiting and entering the property. It will not interfere with the ability to drop off students or to move traffic through efficiently. As part of the construction of these parking spaces, the fence is a new fence is being put in that's going to match the new fence that's being put in around the rest of the site. They're going to push that fence in a little bit and put some bollards in there to protect that play area and also protect pedestrians that might be getting in and out of their cars. So, in effect, it's not a major change. And again, as I said, the loss of the 2 spaces is not going to affect the operation of the site.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
No questions here.
Rob? Okay. John?
No questions. Joe, do you have the existing, the original approval plan?
I do not, John.
Okay.
I might. Let me just take a look. Hold on. I do, John.
Okay. And the dimension from the fence to the drive area, in other words, the curb where it makes the turn,
Right
there's a
here.
little extra space there, right?
Right here?
Yeah.
What, you would like to know what the dimension is
Yeah, what
there?
is it roughly?
I would say if that's 27 feet, I would say that's about 20 feet.
All right, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jim, anything?
Nothing from me.
Okay, I'll open it up to members of the public. Anyone wish to comment on this application, please step forward. All right, I don't see anyone, so I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Public hearing is closed. We have a draft resolution to consider tonight to approve this change. Have you seen that resolution?
I have not. If you just want to state what the conditions might be, that's fine.
Can I ask you another question?
Go ahead.
You have the bollards in there, right?
They're on the plan.
There
that
are
we
plans,
have.
yes.
And they are, it's not fence posts, right?
No, so it's going to be full bollards? Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, he probably did. Very typical.
It's fine.
Okay. Any comments on the resolution from the board?
Not here.
Motion to adopt the resolution approving the modified parking layout for the Pied Piper School.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Is he going to stay on or no? No. All right. We'll get Rich back in. That's the regular session then.
Are they going to Italy?
Where is he? Oh. All right, that concludes the regular session of our meeting until our chair gets in and we get set up for number 6 on the agenda, which is Lakeview Estates, lot number 6. This is discussion on a site plan. 1102 Gambelli Drive. And we will now shortly have a quorum again. All right, we're doing number
All right.
Lakeview Estates. I just called it, and the applicant is here. Good evening.
How are you?
Evening. Greg Chappell, the property owner. I guess we're here to continue the discussion of my request to be able to develop the property and put the house on the rock over the conservation line. Some of the things that have happened since our last meeting, we refined the 100-foot wetland setback, and you can see the difference between the green line and the blue line. By moving the house a little bit and rotating it, we're able to actually keep it outside of that 100-foot wetlands, which was developed by Steve Marino. But it does still go up. For us to be up and be able to see that piece of property, we do have to be able to get up and on top of that rock, and the way that conservation line sits still precludes that project. The house is turned maybe 3 degrees to fit that way. There's also the hardship that that house does not sit within the building envelope as it's, without going over that too. We're right up against the,
Okay, got it.
left-hand boundary, 30-foot boundary there, so, without going over the conservation line. And then the one thing we did do is we did some research, and there have been exemptions made in this subdivision for those, for that conservation line, so.
By this board?
Certainly by development, I haven't gone through the files, but I could go through and get the approvals on the projects that I found.
If that's the case, that exceptions have been made in other developments in this subdivision, then I would feel differently about, withholding my consent to your request. If they weren't made on the record by this board, then I might continue to take the position that I would oppose those changes. So what did you find when you did your research?
So we did I have an aerial photograph that shows the development in 2021. So this is a 2021 that I downloaded. It has the property lines approximate there. I've overlaid the subdivision, and you can see I've outlined in the green the conservation areas. And certainly there's lawns everywhere, and tree clearing. And then there is this home, which is the 119 Gambelli. They have a pool and a pool structure over the line. This is 1079. They have the fountain and I guess some feature over here, certainly above and beyond just the driveway and the facility of getting into the house. And then 1140 has, again, the pool and a pool house that are over the lines. And these are all blow-ups of that bigger map. And I've submitted, these were
those
submitted.
show existing conditions. Do they show whether or not those were approved, or if they just happened over time?
I haven't gone through the files. I'd have to pull the files on those 3 projects
Okay.
and look. And that's certainly something, it was a good challenge, I think, that you brought up, and I wanted to do some research on it, so.
Can you email us the addresses so we have them handy? We can.
Yeah, you have copies of
You
these
do. Okay,
maps,
good. Thank
too,
you.
including the overall subdivision where I overlaid it. And it's plus or minus about 3 or 4%.
Well, I think you heard that's going to be important for this board to know that. So I think we have to do some homework. So if you can give us the opportunity to have the department go through and try to find out.
That would be fine.
Would that be all right?
Yep, and you do have all this information, so.
Yeah, it's got that. Right?
So staff,
We're going to have to look and see.
you'll
Is
verify what's going on here?
We'll see what we can find.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
that all right?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
recall those myself, but.
Okay. All right, so give us the opportunity to go through and try to do some homework there, and then we'll get this on the next agenda. Is that
Okay.
possible? Yes. Okay?
Yeah. My travel agendas, for me to actually be here in person is difficult because I'm working for the next 6 months in California, so.
Oh,
I'm gone for 3 and 4 months, or 3 or 4 weeks at a shot, so.
okay. So the next is,
The
Well,
13th.
can we continue our discussion in,
as long as you don't have a problem with it.
Yeah,
we do.
I mean, I think I've presented everything that I've
Yeah.
been. If there's
Yeah,
a question or a challenge, I'll certainly
Any issue with that, John?
address
No,
anything.
you could also have him zoom in. That's authority you do have.
then I would do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Okay,
Thank you for that.
all right,
Thank you very much.
all right.
Thank you.
Take care.
Now, that green line was the,
Moved.
I'm saying the green line was violated by By, that was a conservation
What
easement?
he showed was all the other
Yeah,
lots in the area had,
right,
at some point or another, going past there.
yeah.
So what he's saying, he wouldn't be,
He wouldn't be the only one.
right.
Okay.
All right. Next, we have the Arrowwood subdivision, lot 6.4. This is a discussion of site plan. How are you?
Great, thanks, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Good.
Good. For the record, Taylor Palmer. I'm a partner with the law firm of Cuddy and Fader on behalf of the applicant. I am joined by our project engineer, Ralph Perugine of DTS Provident Engineering. We are here before you in connection with an application for site plan approval. It's proposing to develop a single-family residence on the lot that is known now as 6.4 of the former Arrowhead subdivision. Before I do turn it over to Ralph, I just wanted to give the board just a quick update about and background about the property. We did provide a submission to your board dated May 11th that included all the details of the subdivision. The property is located off of Underhill Avenue, and it is in the R1 200 Residence District. It was formerly subdivided into 7 total lots, and 2 of those were deeded to the town for park or other uses. Lot 6.2 is presently improved by a single-family residence. Ralph is showing you the proposed site plan, but there is another residence that has been constructed and was also before your board for site plan review. So while typically a site plan wouldn't be required for a single-family residence, when this was approved in 2007, there was a specific condition that any application for development of a residence would come before you. So that is why we are here. Our architect did put the architect's site plan or her construction drawings in the submission. The proposal ultimately is for a 3,203 square foot single-family residence and a 2-car garage. And with that, just a general update, I will have Ralph speak to you more specifically about the stormwater plans. It was originally submitted to the engineering department, and the planning department highlighted the condition of this prior resolution, so that's why we're hanging out with you tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Ralph.
Good evening, Ralph Perugine with DTS Provident Design Engineering. So, as Taylor had said, and Mr. Palmer said, Lot 6.2 is in this area here, and that's the first and only residence that's been developed in this subdivision so far. And now our client is looking to develop 6.4 here, which is the adjacent parcel. So we've basically shown the grading and some retaining walls in and around the property to make the grades work with the existing slopes and grades so that we're not creating excessive grading around the lot. The plan has been approved by Westchester County Department of Health with the septic system in the location that was approved previously under the approved subdivision drawings. So that approval was granted and extended, and I believe the extension is through October of this year. So they have to start construction prior to October, otherwise they have to get a recertification. And it's just a layout plan showing all the setbacks to the proposed building and that are based on the approved subdivision. This line here, this setback line was based on the approved subdivision, which varies from the town code, but was approved as part of this and given some leeway. As you can see, the proposed buildings here and this rectangle here was where the approved building was approved on that subdivision. Be glad to answer any questions.
That's it, short and sweet.
Oh,
From the board?
unless you want me to keep going, Rich.
Concerns, comments?
No.
No.
John, anything on your end?
Anything you can describe in any change regarding the cut and fill? I know you're using some retaining walls, but is there more grading, less grading?
Then the approved plan?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking? A little bit more grading, and the retaining walls are slightly higher. I'd say maybe a foot or two higher than was previously than was originally contemplated.
Okay. How high are the retaining walls?
I'll have to zoom in and tell you. Give me a second.
just while Ralph's typing that in, we are also changing the grade. It was approved, so the finished floor will be at 3 feet lower. The resolution said no more than 2 feet. So we are having a slight change of 1 foot as far as where the lowest floor will be for the project.
Top and bottom wall, they are the top wall here is approximately 5 feet, and this bottom wall here, I have to zoom in again, you'll have to apologize, my eyes are not as good as they used to be. So this is a 10-foot at this point for the lower wall, where the upper wall is approximately 9 feet. I apologize, I read that wrong, it wasn't 5, it's 9, so there's two approximately 10-foot high walls with a landscaped area between them to soften the appearance of them.
So the combined height is around 20 feet, give or take.
Give or take. It does vary, as I said, it's gonna,
And that wasn't what was originally designed, not that realizing the site of this particular lot was probably not fully thought out, but
I don't have that plan with me.
Okay.
But I'd have to say with the original location, I don't believe we showed much grading, well, the prior iteration of our company at the time, the prior company I worked for at the time.
yeah, I called you that name this afternoon in reference to you, and I was quickly corrected
Well,
by
which
Robin.
one? The one from like 10 years ago?
I
to
don't
5
know. I
years
might
ago?
have gone through them all by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Legend in the game.
Been around a long time, so.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Anyway.
Yeah. And so the first floor height is lower. Yeah.
And there is a, just to point out something on the building elevations, the original plans were done based on the NGV, the National Geodetic Vertical Datum of 29, and these plans are done based on the North American Vertical Datum. And there is for Yorktown, there is a 0.99 foot difference between the two datums, which is in essence, we're 1 foot differential, so. I'd just like to point that out, that I believe that's where the difference comes in.
It's a very nice looking house.
Yeah, the architect did a nice job, I think.
Very attractive.
Any other questions, or?
You worried about view shed or?
Well, the difference is the 20-foot high combined walls on approach, but it's not really visible to the public, this subdivision, but just so you're
Yeah.
aware in consideration of it for
Has
the
this-
change to what your original approval was.
Has this application been to the architectural review board yet?
It will be going, it will have to go after, we're going to make the
Right,
submission after
okay.
meeting with the board initially.
Maybe we can make that a bullet for them to look out for?
Yeah. I would recommend that you ask the architect to do an elevation with the walls. That shows it.
Jim, anything on your end?
Nothing on my end.
What are our next steps here?
No other issues that we need to be concerned about, right?
No.
Okay. Refer it out, then what do we have? Yeah, what's procedurally,
Well, we'll put together a resolution for the next meeting,
Okay.
if you want
All right.
to come back and do
If
that.
we could
okay.
get some of that information, all right? Perfect.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Appreciate your time.
Seeing you. Okay, next we got Rob's Poultry Supply Store. This is a discussion of a new use in an existing shopping center. Location is 2023 Compound Road.
Where was that? 2020.
Which was what?
What's the landmark? Where is
Oh,
it?
here they go. How are you?
It used to be the karate place.
The way?
Okay.
It's in the Yorktown Pizza and Pasta parking lot. It used to
Okay.
be where Elite Defensive Tactics used to be.
Oh, they're out?
Right.
Yeah, they're out. He retired. And the person that bought it took the 4,000 square feet or something around the corner. It's called Champions Gym or something.
Okay.
And they're doing the karate and stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so
Gotcha.
just a little background. This is here at request of the building inspector.
Okay.
He asked that you look at loading times, loading zone, loading area, and times of operation pursuant to that, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're on. Just a name for the record, please.
Robert Robinson,
Okay, and you're representing?
Rob's Poultry Supply Store.
Okay. You're
I am the owner.
you're the owner, okay.
Thank you. The deliveries come on Friday between 7 and 7:30 in the morning, and it takes about 20 minutes to unload them. And I'll be open from 9 to 8 Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday 9 to 6.
So the only delivery you get for the store is on Friday mornings?
The eggs come on Thursday, which is a very small truck,
Mhm.
and the larger truck is about a 26-foot box that comes Friday morning.
Okay. And that you have any other supplies like feed and so forth?
It's all on the Friday
All
delivery.
all on the Friday delivery with,
Right.
also he sells live chicks of differing poultry types, I think.
Correct.
Which are delivered on Friday, live already, right?
Right. Those I pick up at the post office
You do?
in the
Oh.
back seat of my car. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, and then he sells them
Doesn't
through the
take a
weekend,
truck.
right? Is that the story?
Correct.
Basically?
They're pre-ordered, so the folks come on Friday to Sunday to pick them up.
Got it.
So you'll pick up live chicks from the post office?
Yes.
Really? So they go
Really.
through the mail?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Oh, God. And so you're basically selling small chicks and eggs, fresh eggs?
Correct.
And it looks like feed?
Right.
And I guess when you get supplies, they come in bulk? And where does that get stored?
It's all retail right on the floor. I order just enough for the week.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And is that much of a business? I'm very curious.
You know, I do it because I love it.
Okay.
I could never become a millionaire. I do it for the passion and for the community, really.
That's awesome. And I guess the fresh eggs are a big hit.
They're a hit. Yeah, they're the biggest draw
And so you're open all week,
all week.
and you get your deliveries on Friday for what you don't pick up at the post office.
Right.
How much are we expecting to come in on a Friday? Because obviously the building inspector is concerned about.
Well, he was concerned about the loading and unloading area. So, my own experience is that you get trucks of that size, sometimes even larger, that you don't get any deliveries to his building,
Yeah.
but you get deliveries to Yorktown Pizza Pasta and G&G's. So, and those trucks typically park right in front of where Cablevision was, or a little bit down further. So in this case, I think what you'll see, and it's at 7 or 7:30 in the morning,
Right.
I think you'll probably see the loading right in front.
Right in front.
Right. At that time, I don't know that you'll have an issue with any operation, because I don't think there would be too many, if at all, customers and public entering and exiting the site.
Not only that, but the other stores are closed.
Yeah, well, that's, of course, yeah,
They're
that's
gone.
exactly it, so,
So should we put something in the memo that we?
yeah. That it's, at present, limited to the Friday delivery, the 26-foot, and between 7 and 8 in the morning, I think is fair. That's my suggestion.
Is that all right?
That's fine, yeah.
Do we really want to limit him to a particular day of the week?
Yeah, right.
I'm not concerned whether it comes on a Friday or a
Right.
Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah,
I'm more
so it's-
concerned about the hours of the
Yeah.
day.
The wholesaler might change. He might get a different wholesaler.
Yeah,
He
if
might
you
deliver on
decide,
Wednesday.
I
the
got a
other guy
delivery
delivers
on
Friday.
Tuesday,
Good point. Yeah, I agree. I
we
think
should
that's
do
right.
we should limit I'm concerned about the time of the day that you get delivery, not the day of the
Not
week.
any day.
Yeah, early in the morning they
morning.
come. They're in and out really quickly.
Yeah.
It's earlier in the morning.
I'm just curious, is there anything else like this in the county around?
No. They're similar, like the Feed Barn in Mayapack,
Yeah.
Tractor Supplies.
But do they sell fresh eggs there?
No.
This is very interesting.
And
This is right up your alley there.
It's an
Different
experience to
business.
come and visit. Yeah, I invite you to come and visit. You'll learn a lot.
So where do you get the eggs from?
Feather Ridge Farm in Elizaville.
let's put a 7 a.m. to
Yeah.
Whatever.
some other time at the end of the day.
Just want the
Prior
morning
to
drop
10
off.
a.m. maybe.
Yeah, 7 o'clock.
Does that work for you?
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, no
Okay.
problem.
What is it,
Well-
7
7 a.m.
to 9 or to 8 or
To
what?
9. Make it to 9.
7 to 9, okay.
7 to
Any-
That's fine.
Okay? All right, so we'll get a memo out.
We'll get a memo out.
All
of
the
you.
best to you. Good luck.
Good luck to
Thank
you.
you
I'm
very,
looking forward to
very
getting
much.
some of those eggs. I'll
Yeah,
take 'em.
stop by and say hello. Yeah,
Right.
please.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, that is interesting. Wonder what else you can get at the post office.
Do you really want to ask that
No,
question?
I'm just.
Oh, God.
I love Yorktown. Okay. Next, we got 2040 Greenwood Street. This is a discussion of a dumpster enclosure at the same address.
Rick
See
Cipriani,
Rick
he's
around?
not
Is he
here.
around?
Well, what's this all about?
The tenant, or I should say the owner, has need of a larger refuse container and uses, the roll-off containers.
Yeah.
And so I think what he's proposing is rather than do, and it's mostly construction debris, because he's forget what his business is, but, so he's proposing a gate, and there should be a drawing in here that shows a gate with the slats close to the corner of the building, so that as you look down the driveway, you don't see his parking lot with the roll-off container in it. And so, given that there's no possibility of any typical refuse that you may see in a retail setting, such as, scraps, food scraps and things,
Waiting for it to come up.
that, the refuse container may not be, a needed item other than just
Okay.
blocking the view of something objectionable. So,
Is there any other town regulations on this yet or not?
there's not a hard requirement. It's the site plan, site plan amenity that we've been adding, because you can justify keeping sites looking properly and that they're tidy. This has a little bit different characteristic than your typical site, is what I'm saying, so,
He would accomplish the overall objective this way.
this way, yes.
It's okay with me.
And it looks okay to me. I think it's a little more attractive, too, than finding an enclosure where, it's fenced
Okay.
off. You don't know what's behind it.
Good.
So go with the fence with some slats and,
Yeah,
okay, that's fine.
That's fine.
I
Okay.
think that's good.
All right.
Bingo.
Moving right along.
He wins and he's not even here.
See? Would you say you want to move Grace to the end of the meeting? He's not paying attention back there. Next, we have Burger King. See? This is a discussion of site plan, 385 Downing Drive. You should have brought it. He wanted to move you to the end of the meeting.
You know what? We had when I was on the council to the zoning board, we had the pizza guy in Provoke come, what's his name, Francesco? He comes in with the big, like, a big pie at the end of the zoning board meeting. And back then, the meetings went till, 11, 12 o'clock at night. And we're all like, oh.
We'll just get it over with. We want to
And
get to the
Dave's
pizza.
like, no, we can't take the pizza. We're like, oh, come on. The next time I'll come in with some
Where's the
sample
hamburgers?
burgers. Anyhow, yeah. Essentially, it's the Burger King, which you're all familiar with, and they're doing a facelift. And yeah, since most of their sales are drive-through, they're looking to basically expand the drive-through canopy for 2 lanes of drive-through services. I'm not too sure that it's jurisdictional with the planning board. I think this is just really ends up being a building permit situation, but I guess John Landy may be more comfortable kicking it up here. But I thought we had passed.
It's a site plan.
What?
It's a site plan. If you
Yeah, we passed a law. It was a Nesto's bathroom. In, at
that's if you're doing an addition, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is some site modification. So I think
All
I
right.
think
I'll it's borderline, but I'll get it's,
Are you adding an extra drive-through window?
no, it's just a second lane.
So
And I guess
how's that going to work?
I guess they it's, I don't think
Zipper
it's
in
their first rodeo, so I
alternate?
think they figured this one out. But and I think the only difference in the site plan, other than punching out the pickup window, is a couple of parking spaces may get a different
So there's
configuration.
the access to the store is the same if I'm a drive-through customer.
Basically, yes.
And you're creating you want to create an additional line of traffic to get to the window? Is that what I see?
I think that is the plan.
another ordering station.
This is another kiosk.
So you order on either side, and then you.
And the parking.
Merge it.
Okay.
The parking spaces, the diagonal, are new right now.
Yeah,
dead-end.
they're not new space, but they did configure
Okay.
differently. And then it's a facelift on the outside and complete renovations on the inside as well. So, and, it's my mind. It's all pretty benign since it is in a shopping center that unfortunately doesn't see as much traffic as we would like, right? So anything that we can do to upgrade the neighborhood, I think, is something that we need to encourage.
The
and get
striping in
behind.
the parking lot's going to all be redone. The arrows are going to be redone.
Yeah, yes.
What about landscaping?
There is some probably with some new landscaping. I have, you got most of the plans there, so, but we can explore what you need,
Yeah, I just
if anything. I mean, there's nothing there now, so
Yeah.
essentially. So, but they'd like to move expeditiously.
I'm just concerned about the traffic movement, that's all.
I've seen this.
Yeah, this is like the new thing
It is.
that a lot
Yeah.
of the
Does it
restaurants
work?
are doing.
It really does.
And they filter in. It's kind of like, and you take your turn. I don't know how they keep track of whose order is whose.
Well, it's like the car wash,
But they
right?
do, yeah.
You go to these, the car washes, the outside. It really is. It's amazing how they.
I guess Greenberg's ahead of us, huh?
Well, it's not. I haven't seen it in Greenberg.
It's all over Mount Kisco.
Yorktown's always
You go down,
lagging,
you go
though.
down in Mount Kisco, it's all there.
Yes, but
Same thing?
I've seen it in
Okay.
action now, and it I've been through this. It works.
Okay.
It works,
You think you're gonna get someone else?
and it helps the business.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think they have to do.
A little more detail, yeah.
How are you?
Good, hi, I'm Peg Caniff, I'm the franchisee of that.
Come on up.
You just gotta state your name into the mic, please.
My name is Peg Caniff, and I'm the franchisee of That Burger King. So we have other restaurants that we've done this in, and it's really seamless.
Yeah.
We know how to do it, but we want to keep it a mystery to you guys, okay?
But it really does work.
And it is.
It really does work. And here in Yorktown, we run about 75% of our business through that drive-through. So I really think that it's going to back up, help the traffic situation. I'm sure you've all seen my line all the way to the entrance to the liquor store. So now you have 2 lanes, and we know how to do it. When this store is closed, I plan to bring my people to another store to teach them how to do it. So I don't think, really, I think it's going to be better for the community than worse.
No, I think we have no objections. We just need to see some details. outside
Okay,
of
we
that.
have them, right? Yep.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
So do you think you need a public hearing on it? I think you could probably get away with
we
it.
don't need it.
I'm looking at Jim nodding his head.
You know, we've been running into this on changes that are not major.
Right, right.
That unfortunately, our town attorneys are telling us, yes, we do need to do that,
Yeah.
unless the town board takes some other action.
Yeah, the Nesto bathroom rule does not work on this one?
well, I think it works for the addition.
Yeah,
But
it's only-
I don't think it works for the modification of the site plan in terms of the additional drive-through lane and the
All right, I'll give you
angle
that, yeah.
parking.
All right,
And this.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll concede it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
it's
All right.
not much, but, all right.
Get
So,
that set up.
if we could set it for whatever you,
June
it's
13th.
convenient for you, and
June 13th.
June 13th, excellent.
And if you could submit the landscape plan?
Yeah, I'll get the landscapes. Do you want the outside, I guess the outside building's gonna be revised as well, although it's,
Yeah, we'd like,
you'd probably like to see it,
yeah,
right?
I think I've
All right,
seen
so I'll
the
get some architectural
the
renderings.
originals, but if you could submit it to the board so they can get them.
Yeah, absolutely, all right. Do you want to refer it to a back end?
Yeah, we'll probably refer.
Okay.
And then just if the engineer or architect can let us know what the difference in the parking is
Yeah.
from head end to angled. I know you're going to lose one or two.
I'll
So we
give
can
you,
just,
I'll give you a breakdown between the old,
Yeah.
the existing and the new,
yeah.
but they just want the configuration.
Yeah, just so we have it in the record that there's not a change in
Yeah,
the parking.
I'm sorry, can we discuss the landscape?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Come on, you
Yeah,
gotta come
just
up.
stand up.
I'm sorry. So, as you know, Ulster is my landlord, and you guys have put restrictions on his landscaping or requirements on his landscaping. And in the past, I've tried to take care of it, especially on that 118 side with all those trees. And there's always an issue. So I just would love to know what's the difference between what he maintains and what I have to maintain.
Yeah, we could,
I don't know what you mean by restrictions.
Well, probably 20 years ago, he planted all those trees because the town required him to do it, and they were this big, and now they're tower over me, so you can't see my building. So I have a sign that's useless because you really can't see it because the trees grew so high. So I would be happy to clean that up, but Oster would rather me not touch it. So I'm in a quandary as to what I could do there.
So you want your building obviously to be visible.
Be nice.
yeah.
And it sounds like over the years, what was planted there is now really screened.
Well, I think you're talking about the white pines, probably.
Screening.
Right,
Yeah,
on
so
118 where my sign is, that
It was
whole
probably,
section over there?
yeah, it was probably meant as some screening or buffering.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can look at it,
Yeah.
provided that, Oster agrees to whatever the changes are,
Right.
if you make changes.
No, yeah, I think it's just something, we'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate
So-
it. I
so
just-
ma-
All you have
Yeah.
to do is raise
So-
the canopy of the trees, right? Just raise the canopy of the tree.
I think if they're pines, they probably have to trim quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's that easy.
We'll,
I mean-
we'll,
we'll have to take a
we'll
look.
come up with something and you can see if you know, with that concern.
on the plan, I'd like to lose that sign because it's useless to me and put the sign on the front of the building. That's what the plans show. I think it would be much, I've been with that green roof with no sign for 20 years, and I really think that it would be beneficial to us if people knew, I have a green roof. Nobody thinks I'm a Burger King. So if I had the sign right in front of the building, and I would give up the sign totally.
How long you had the green roof?
About 20 years.
And you've maintained it?
Yes, I have.
And how is that going?
Honestly?
Oh, I thought you meant a green roof.
No, you guys
No, no.
wanted
Oh, you
me
mean
to
like
match
a
the shopping
green
center.
roof?
I'm sorry.
You thought it was grass.
Yeah,
I did too.
right?
Yes, I get it.
I said to
No,
myself,
no,
I
no,
don't
no.
remember a
I
green
wish
roof
I
up
had
there.
a green, real Echo roof. But I have a green roof to match the shopping center.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we'll certainly
That's
take a
fine.
ride.
I'm trying to think, I wouldn't know what the color is, and I pass it every day.
I know, but our colors are important to us as much as our logos.
Well,
so
smell is a more powerful.
I was gonna say, you can smell it from.
okay,
Good
thank
guess.
you.
All right,
All right, we'll come, we'll have it all,
Yeah, get us the details.
well ahead of time on the 13th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now we go to Wendy's, huh?
See, John Flynn, if he heard a green roof for 20
I
years. he
appreciate
would've
it,
been
gentlemen.
Lori would have done it.
Yes, that's right.
All right. From Burger King, we go to Wendy's at the Staples Plaza. This is a discussion of site plan. Location is 3399 Compound Road.
Don't tell
Nobody's
anybody.
probably here for this either. This is another, came from the building department,
Yep.
okay? As a heads up, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
And so,
This is the same use for the most part, right?
well, it's the same use, but if you read the memo that I wrote, there's an expansion of the, as it seems to me, there's an expansion of the floor area devoted to patron use, which increases the parking demand. There's a very slight addition, which increases the parking demand. It will not increase because it's so small, but taken together with the other increase of the patron area, there's probably a different demand there. So that's one. The other is that there is a site plan change, which we don't know all of the details yet because we haven't basically figured out everything that's shown here on the site plan, but they're adding another ordering station. This one is in a single line. It's not two lines. There's an ordering station here, and further down the line, seems like there's an ordering station, or they work together. I'm not sure. So that's a difference. And then you'll see that the diagonal parking there is, as approved, is head-on parking. So that's changing to diagonal. Yeah. So we don't know where that ends. How far it goes. So there's some details to come forth yet. The other one is that it needs to go to Abaca. It's quite a different design. You're getting a couple of higher walls. The top of the sign will be about 18.5 feet. I think there's a question whether or not that will constitute a sign there and then be subject to that height requirement or not. It's just a question at this point. There is a lighting plan approval required, and in particular of note here is that on each facade of the building mounted on the roof, they have a very large security style light which faces almost at a near 90-degree angle, which is contrary to the lighting code, and during the winter months probably shines directly in a couple of the residential neighbors in leaf-off condition. So those taken together, it seems to me, is some amendments that should be looked at with some care.
There's a lot going on in this complex.
Yeah.
We had the batteries come to us last time.
Yes.
We have the Tesla stations. We've had, when Popeyes went in the beginning in particular, I know there were lines up past the gas station.
Yeah, but that
Trader Joe's opens up.
Yes. Keep getting questioned about that.
Yes. Anyway.
But I think this is something we should, again, as we have been, maybe look at holistically. But it's, for the most part, the usage, the square footage, the footprint isn't, there's a lot of changes, but I think especially with the branding here, obviously it's another restaurant where people will sit and dine more so than they would in Dunkin' Donuts.
Right. At first blush, it's the same use. You wouldn't think much of it, but when you dig in a little bit, you see that there's difference. And we've always looked at, differences in the patron space. When you go from retail to restaurant use, and when you add in the lighting and the site plan modifications, albeit minor ones, it seems as though it's a look that you need to.
I just remember when we went through one of the applications, it might have been I don't know if it was the Tesla, we had a lot of people come out. I know we worked on the screening heavily there, landscaping, the fence.
Yeah.
So I especially think it's probably important that there's notice given, so they know what's going on.
Okay.
But John, wasn't this also, this space was not just Dunkin' Donuts, it was New York Pizza as well, right?
Yeah. Baskin Robbins.
So it is it was like three in one. So isn't the parking taking into account you need the patronage area that was New York Pizza as well? Is it increasing by a significant amount?
It's increasing from what the existing floor plan is with Dunkin' Donuts and New York Pizza. So according to my look at it. Now, I didn't put the scale down and actually do a calculation yet. Okay. But yes, I believe that it's increasing.
Because this was all food use. There wasn't a retail store there.
No, there was not a retail store. It was all food use, yeah. So the difference will be minor again. Mm-hmm. But when you're adding some demand and you're taking a few spaces away, it is a minor, but nevertheless, given the practice of the board and the letter of the law, it's probably something for you to look at.
Sure.
Because there's a wholesale change with the signage and things like that.
So you wrote a memo back to buildings
Yes.
already, expressing essentially all those points and saying that they have to come here,
Correct.
right? Is there anything we need to do at this point?
The owner and the applicant are aware. I don't think that they could make it here tonight on such short notice.
Right.
But we'll get them to make a formal submission and get them on their way.
Okay.
So they come back and see you.
All right. That place, Dunkin' Donuts, was a godsend to me when I had small children. Drive up and get the coffee.
I used to bring my kids there all the time.
Wendy's makes coffee.
Yes, I don't know. I had a special place in my heart back then for Dunkin'. Okay. Next, we'll move on to the Yorktown Rehab and Nursing Center solar projects. Discussion of site plan and special use permits, 2300 Catherine Street. How
Hello.
are you?
Hi, good to see you again. For the record, my name is Fariha. I'm here representing Ecogy. Julia couldn't make it today, but she sent her regards to the board. So regarding Yorktown Rehab and Nursing Center Solar, the last time we were in front of the planning board was on December 6th, 2021. So we have made a lot of progress since then. There has been some site plan changes. Looks like the correct one, thank you. So we met with the Conservation Board on February 16th, and at that point we had realized our panels on the ground mount project was over the sewer line, and we were exploring moving it slightly to the east to avoid the sewer line. The Conservation Board expressed some concerns around encroaching into the wetland buffer area and removing additional trees, but we ran some shading analysis and we were able to move the arrays slightly to the east without removing any more additional trees or encroaching into the wetland buffer. So this site plan shows the sewer line, as you can see, as S. That's slightly to the west of the array. So yeah, no more additional trees will be removed. Also, after meeting with the Conservation Board, we updated our landscaping plan. In our previous plan, we proposed to plant 81 trees and shrubs in total. And in our new plan, we are currently proposing 97 trees and shrubs to provide additional screening, along with the previously mentioned watering plan. Given the space constraints here and the shading issues, this is the maximum number of trees we could propose to plant. Along with the plantings, we will also be contributing $13,500 to the tree bank fund, as we do not meet the mitigation ratio as the town code suggests. And this $13,500 includes the woodland disturbance and the tree removal fee, and this is the same amount that we have proposed previously. So even though we are adding more trees, we are not decreasing the amount of that we'll be contributing to the tree bank. So those are some of our changes to the site plan and the landscaping plans. Along with this, we also received a comment letter from the town consultant on the environmental review on May 16. And the consultant report asked for a site plan that marries the proposed solar array locations and tree removal areas, along with the wetland and water resources identified on site and their associated 100-foot buffers. So we're currently taking steps to produce this site plan. We will be geolocating every single tree that's on site, and that will be removed. So the new site plan will clearly show the location of the arrays, the wetland and their buffers, and the individual trees that will be removed. So that is something we are currently working on. Along with that, the consultant also recommended us to plant more low-lying shrubs that will not be an issue for our shading, but also will offer improved buffer function. So we will be reviewing this recommendation with our landscape architect and our engineering team to determine if this would actually be feasible, depending on the space that's left, and also shading. One note to add here, but the trees that are being removed, not all of the stumps are going to be removed. So there might be some issues with enough space for planting those shrubs. But we're hoping that the stumps that will be left in place will somewhat stabilize the soil that's there. Along with that, the consultant also mentioned that the town code 178 freshwater wetlands is not referenced in our previous communication. So according to the code, we will need a wetlands permit from the town, which we will be applying for after we geolocate each trees, as I mentioned previously. And we will be complying with all of the requirements of that town code. And lastly, they had also asked us whether this site is under the New York State DEC jurisdiction, and I confirmed that it is. And we will be working with the New York City DEP and the New York State DEC to get the appropriate approvals needed. Currently, we are working through a SWIP, the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan, with our engineering from SLR Engineering, and we will be providing the plan after it's done to both to Yorktown and in New York City DEP and the New York State DEC. And we have also been in close contact with the Conservation Board, and we plan to go back to them after we have addressed all of these concerns, so they are all happy.
Well, a lot going on.
Yes, yes. Sounds like you've got a lot yet to do before we move forward, based on that consultant's report.
Yes. We have our action items listed, so we are working on it.
Okay.
Okay.
All right,
We will look forward to hearing from you again then, I guess. I don't know what else we can do now.
So I wanted to also say this consultant report was slightly delayed. This was expected sometime in April, but we received it in May. So now that we are working towards it, I would like to request the town to consider this project for a public hearing next.
No.
I don't think we're ready for that yet. Not until you cover all those issues.
Other than the issues mentioned in the consultant report, is there anything we should be working on?
I'll tell you what we've told every other applicant that's come in front of us with solar. I think we've been very consistent about the screening. And your group has done a few of them. So you really have to look at that. I know others, and you guys have been very good about demonstrating the screening. We need to see that.
Okay.
All right? I think that's the biggest, besides what the consultants are telling us, that's, very woodsy area.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot going on there. But I think we've been very consistent with that, and we're going to hold that line.
Okay.
Okay.
In terms of screening, would you require something like the line of sight analysis that we did for the Kitchewan project?
I think that really worked well.
Okay, perfect. So, sounds good.
Okay.
I have some things to submit, the site plans.
Just it's on the screen, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, last but not least, Underhill Farms.
Do we want to call them? Just gonna wait.
We're done now, right?
Yeah, we're done. All right, last but not least, Underhill Farm. This is a discussion of the wetland and fiscal assessments. Locations 370 Underhill Avenue.
Being Congress.
Pardon me while my assistant sets me up with the computer.
I like that.
How many years have you waited to say that?
switching glasses again. Yes. Good evening, Steve Marino, Tim Miller Associates. I'm here with Joe Rena tonight, and Ann Cutignola, a planner from our office, will be joining us shortly. She lives around the corner and is on her way. And she'll be talking about the fiscal and socioeconomic stuff. So to start with, I know we've kind of gone through this briefly in the past. Regarding wetlands and environmental features on the site, there are 3 areas on the property that have been flagged as town-regulated wetlands. Yeah, why don't you give me that one for Joe, the one you just had, the mitigation plan one. Start with that. Thank you.
Steer.
Yeah, I'll steer. So there are 3 areas identified. There are 2 small wetland pockets of about 2,000 square feet each, and then there's the watercourse that enters the site from Glen Rock Road, flows through the property across the access way that was created during the Beaver Ridge development and into the existing pond on the site. We have records of the pond existing on the property since at least the 1930s. So going back to aerial photos, you can see the pond on the site. And when you look at those same historic aerials, you also see that watercourse coming in from Glen Rock, although it's in a different location. It's further to the south than where it's currently flowing. So we did flag and identify those 2 smaller wetland pockets, and in my opinion, based on the site conditions that we've seen, when that access road to Beaver Ridge was constructed, water flow across the property was blocked at that point, and that's creating, between that and the cut, fill, borrow material that was taken off the site to create that access way, have created those 2 smaller pockets. So those are, in fact, not historic wetlands on the site, but 2 little pocket wetlands that were created when the access way was installed. The third part of the wetland, which is the larger pond feature, as well as the watercourse that enters the site from Glen Rock, that's historically been there. However, as we noted at the last meeting, there is a culvert. At the last meeting I was in attendance of, 2 meetings ago, that when the culvert was installed under that access way, there wasn't provision, or there hasn't been provision for maintenance of that culvert, so that culvert has been blocked up. And because of that, a larger ponded area, a larger saturated area now exists on the west side of the access way, which does create some expansion of that feature, rather than just being a narrowly channeled stream watercourse. There is a smaller pocket of wetland again on the west side of the access way. Be able to see anything. Let's go to the photos, Joe. I'm resisting the temptation to get bifocals because I refuse to give in to the fact that I need distance and close-up glasses, but it's not working out. The photos, just the regular site photos. That one there, yes. I know, and it's not, it hasn't sunk in yet. Okay, so look at the site. This is the pond, the existing pond feature on the site. That's the Underhill home there in the background. Again, this is looking from the south across the pond. It's it's been a park-like setting for a number of years now around the pond edge. But as you get into this area here, this is the portion of the wetland of the pond where the water enters from that stream from Glen Rock, and there's more natural wetland vegetation and more of a marshy converging into swamp kind of feel as you go further to the west. This is looking from the Underhill house towards one of the outbuildings and again across the pond. The access way that we're speaking about is right through here, just beyond those evergreens, and goes from south to north to the Beaver Ridge property. This is one of the existing stone culverts. This is the outlet for the pond as it currently exists. There's about a 12-foot drop from this location, so water overflows, drops 12 feet, and then is culverted under Beaver Ridge and eventually to 118. So it's a very interesting historic structure out there underneath all that, where the water currently flows, very deep. This is the area that is now ponded, saturated wetland on the west side of the access road. just about here where this brush is accumulated is where the inlet for that culvert under the access road is located. So you can see when that clogged up with all this organic material here, stuff is backed up on this side. So you get a combination of the Phragmites, which you see those narrow stems up there, and the more natural native grasses that are growing on that side of the wetland. And this is that's the wetland, that same part of the wetland with the frags growing in the background. That green area through here is the access way, and then here, somewhere under this stuff, is where that culvert outlets and forms the channel that then flows this way to the south, to the east, and into the pond. And again, that's that same wetland area. And then the pond, in this one, the pond is beyond that brush in the background. And this, if you see right there, is the gate on Underhill Avenue that leads into the site to access the access road, which is just this green area right here is in fact the access road. So maintenance has been an issue. This is wetland C, sorry. The access road is right here. You can see the break in the trees there, and that's where it goes to the Beaver Ridge property. This is actually intended to be the traveled way, and just on the west side, where that has now been bermed up, you can see this water sits there and saturates the ground. Again, no trees growing in it, no native wetland vegetation growing in it. It's just simply an area of water that pools there after storm events because it can't get past further to flow further to the east, because that road now berms it up. This is the other wetland B, which was a borrow pit at the time of the construction of that access. Again, there's subsoils lining the rim of it, where material was excavated out of that hole to create the road, and this is a remnant shallow ponded area. There are green frogs and some of the more common frogs. We have seen them in there, but other than that, from an amphibian standpoint or any other kind of wildlife habitat standpoint, there's really nothing much to. And it's only 2,000 square feet plus or minus in area. And that's it so that's it. Okay. Next. How do I? All right. Why don't we go to back to the mitigation plan again, Joe? Yes, that one. Is this going to scroll to Zoom? No. Zoom it in on the pond and that. Sorry about this.
Steve, at the beginning, did you say that these wetlands are wetlands as defined by the town, but
Yes.
not the state?
Not the state or the pond and the stream coming into the pond would be regulated by the Army Corps of Engineers. The two smaller pockets to the north would not be.
Let me ask you something. If those culverts were maintained and this is maintained a little bit better, you would eliminate those little pockets of.
Yep. Well, if the two smaller pockets, if they had been culverted under the access way, the way that the larger stream had been, they would have flowed through there.
It would
and
no longer become wetlands.
the wetland wouldn't have developed there. A town-regulated wetland wouldn't.
So it could be regulated by just maintaining what we have to do.
If the road had been constructed the way you'd think without the idea of cutting off water, with having some kind of an outlet for the water to flow under that, then those would not have occurred.
Okay.
So there's the existing pond. Our concept right now, and we're moving forward with more detailed plans at this point, is to excavate some of the material from the wetland, from the sides of that stream as it comes down, as it enters the pond, and creating a marshy area which transitions into a wooded wetland area as you go from east to west. So it would be an expansion of the existing wetland. There is an existing berm on the west side of the pond, which has been maintained. There's a wooden footbridge that crosses over to it, and you can kind of walk from one end to the other. And that's kind of the concept we're working with as well. By creating this wetland, we could then have a boardwalk area through it, albeit a more native vegetation kind of nicer looking feature than the brush and debris that are currently out there. So that's our concept for that. So the wetland would be expanded by about 1/4 of an acre, which would more than offset the wetland fill for those other two smaller pockets. And with the current layout, we would be diverting that water course as it comes from Glen Rock a little bit further to the north between buildings to maintain the flow and bring that water down to the pond. So again, and this base map is an older base map. The recreation building and the pool are no longer in that location. So that's really what I have for you so far in the wetlands. Can you bring up the tree plan, Joe? We'll just talk a little bit about the trees also. We're aware we need a tree removal permit.
Steve, are you proposing to enlarge the pond as part of
we're proposing to enlarge the wetland as it's associated with the pond. The actual standing water itself would not be bigger.
Okay.
So basically we would be cutting it to a grade where we would actually develop a wetland fringe to the pond. So it's going to be more marshy in character, a little bit of some woody material be planted in there as well. Does a lot really for filtering water as it comes down through to the wetland. So we would not be proposing to enlarge the actual surface of the pond at all. So regarding trees in the town's tree code, we have surveyed and identified 703 trees on the property. Large majority of those trees are under 18 inches in diameter. Some 60 trees are larger than 24 inches in diameter and then would therefore meet the town's code as a specimen tree. Most of those larger trees, the vast majority of those larger trees are over closer to the pond and the Underhill house. The trees on the entire western portion of the property from the pond to the west and further to the north are all younger trees. If you recall, last time I was here, we showed the aerial photo from 1947. This was all pasture in 1947 as well as 1960. It wasn't until about 1990 that you saw trees start to regrow on that part of the property when it was no longer maintained as pasture or open meadow. So we did identify 703 trees on the property. Current count, based on the site plan, is about 500 of those trees. 523 of those trees would be cut down in order to accomplish the plan as proposed. And of those trees, like I said, about 60 of them are larger trees. We did submit a discussion of the species of trees on the property. There's a variety of both native and non-native trees. And mitigation. Joe, could you go to the next sheet? As you can see, we went through the list of trees and identified trees that would be cut down versus trees that would stay. Of the trees that are being cut, almost half are either black locust or cottonwood and poplar, some quaking aspen, populus species, which are very quick-growing, opportunistic trees. A black locust, in fact, is generally considered a nuisance tree. So, like I said, about 200 of the trees that are coming down are actually on that west side of the site and are not valued as high-quality trees. But we have gone through the exercise of identifying all those trees that would be cut down. And then, as far as mitigation for this, we're just beginning that portion of the project. A landscape plan will be developed that will replace a large number of trees, all native species. And, our discussions with the planning board will continue as we move forward with the tree plan, as landscape plans get better developed, and we have more to show you on that front. Joe and I are also meeting with the Conservation Board on for our first discussion with them on the project, so we'll be talking to them in the near future as well.
Great. I have a question.
Yep.
Can you just, you may have covered it, but I just want to review the issue of the stream coming down, across the street from Glen Rock into the pond. Is that an intermittent stream? Does that flow regularly, or how do you assess that?
It flows enough that it probably wouldn't be considered an intermittent stream.
Would not be.
Not be. It's probably considered a perennial stream. Yeah. Joe, can you pull up the aerial, 1947 aerial? Or 1960, get to 1961. It's the second sheet in that. Is that the one? Let's see. Searching again. Go back to the 47, Joe. Try that first. Yeah, okay, that's good. If you, down there in that lower left corner of our property, you kind of see where the stream channel used to seep through right there, where the channel used to seep through from Glen Rock Road and onto the property. That area just to the east there is the pond itself. John and I had that discussion at the last meeting whether those were actually trees, and that was a wooded area that was cleared. When I went back to the 1936 USGS mapping, you could see pond, so it was clearly a pond. Some of these older aerials, water features show up looking like trees because of the resolution of the photographs, but that was in fact the pond at the time. So you can see there then that the water course did come in from a little bit further to the south and kind of diagonally ran to the pond. Currently, let's see, where's my mouse? Oh, there we go. There's the cursor. So currently, it enters the site at the same location, but flows this way first and then comes down through here. So we know that at some point that stream channel has moved. There's a lot of erosion that goes on in that stream channel because there's a lot of flow through there. So it's kind of a narrow but deep kind of channel with a lot of stones falling into it and roots exposed because, again, erosive velocities through there. So our take on that is that, again, relocating it it's already been relocated historically further to the north, relocating it another 20 feet to the north, but maintaining the same kind of channel geometry so it's still carrying that same amount of water amounts to just kind of, like I say, a relocation of the stream, but maintaining the flow to the pond.
Okay, thank you.
Steve, the water that's flowing in there, is that coming in naturally, or is there stormwater
It's a little of both.
piping feeding it at all?
It's a little of both. What you'll notice as you go further up Glen Rock to the north, there are a couple of catch basins there. So there are a couple of spots just on our site, just onto the property, where water goes underneath, what goes into the catch basins underneath and onto the subject property. But once it gets there, it kind of filters out and goes into the ground and never becomes any kind of a stream or wetland feature. This one has a base flow element to it as well. So during certain times of the year, particularly in the spring, early summer, you are getting enough water out of the groundwater, from the slopes coming down Underhill, that there's also a component where there's natural flow there as well as what happens during a storm event. It's the storm event that creates the erosion, but there is, like I say, it's more than just an intermittent couple of months a year kind of flow. So there is a base flow component from groundwater, somehow getting in there from causing that longer duration flow.
And is the pond maintained at a particular level?
Yes, that outlet structure that you saw does maintain the pond at a certain level.
So if the pond rises, then it flows out, and then where does it go?
It goes down. It goes. Joe, how about the 2021 if that's on there?
Any pictures of that structure?
That's
There's
what we had before.
that was that stone structure that I showed
Yeah,
you
but
before.
in it, I mean, you said it's 18 feet deep, right?
Well, I think it's about 12 feet deep from what you can see. You can look in there. I don't have any pictures of it down there, but it's like a little. There's a stone spillway that drops down
Really?
into there. Yeah, you can hear the water splashing down in the bottom and then taking off. So, all right, so there.
Do you know where it goes?
It goes to, if you look at Beaver Ridge there, just to the north of that building, Joe, that kind of goes east-west, there's the detention basin kind of structure up there. A little further up.
So everything is subterranean.
It's subterranean up to that point. I'll show you. I have the mouse. Sorry about that. There's a kind of a detention basin kind of stormwater structure right here. The pipe somehow leaves the Underhill Farm site, goes underneath all that construction there, discharges to this, and then quickly exits and goes under Route 118 at that point. And
That was piped at some point, maybe.
piped at some
Beaver Ridge.
point,
Yeah.
it probably contributes to the old Lake Caldor situation. There's a lot of water that comes down through there.
So you verified?
It gets under
that's
118.
That's pretty much verified fact?
You can see where the culvert is at 118. Where it goes from there, I don't know. We haven't been able to
Back
track it that
underneath,
far
right?
yet.
There's a 50-foot pipe, there's a big pipe under there.
Yeah, so we could do dye tests at some point if it was important to know where it comes out, but.
Well, you are doing what to it on your site, though? Nothing.
Nothing.
Okay.
That's just the outlet from the pond that's staying the same.
So you know exactly its location on your site, and none of your structures will be
No,
affecting it.
no.
But you are moving the channel on the other side.
The inlet, yes.
Reconstruct it and.
We're not doing anything with the outlet, but the inlet, there would be some modification to the inlet to the pond.
You're not anticipating that would increase the flow into the pond that much, would it?
No.
Same runoff, same.
Same runoff, same, yeah. Because the runoff from the buildings that would be near that point would all be controlled by the stormwater plan, so that wouldn't change that, the flow coming in. And with that, I'll hand it over to Ann Cutignola, who will talk about planning issues, fiscal stuff.
Money. Tax revenues, right?
Shopping days are over.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Ann Cutignola. I know most of you. I also work for Tim Miller Associates with Steve, and I prepared the fiscal analysis for the project. I hope that all of you have seen a copy of it.
Yes.
And then it's uploaded on the. Just to restate, the site's 13.8 acres between Glen Rock and 118. It includes 84 condo units and 64 apartments and 17,580 square feet of commercial space. There are 5 6-unit townhouse buildings, 5 4-unit townhouse buildings, a condo building, and an apartment building. I calculated the population based on the units that are to be built, and 4-bedroom units, I used a multiplier of 3.89 people. 3-bedroom units, I used 2.83. 2-bedroom units, 2.31, and 1-bedroom units, 1.67, with the exception of the senior units. And for seniors, typically we use 1.88 because even if it is a 1-bedroom unit, sometimes you'll get a couple in there, or you get the seniors that live by themselves. That's compared to an average of 3.15 people per household in the town, on an average, according to the American Community Survey. So this results in a population increase of 321 people, including 23 school-aged children. The existing assessed value of the property is $32,850. When it was the Sound View, it was tax exempt, so it wasn't paying any taxes under that circumstance. When Underhill Farms bought it, they paid taxes in 2021, in the 2021 tax year. They paid $7,169 in town taxes, $4,501 in county tax, and $32,887 in Yorktown school tax. Based on the income potential of the proposed development, the value of the site is approximately $42 million. The assessed value will go from the $32,850 that it is to approximately $900,000. Table 2 up there, if you can see it, shows that the total taxes that are projected are $1,217,000, with $196,000, I rounded up, to the town, $123,000 to the county, and approximately $900,000 to the schools. That's money that comes out of, or that doesn't have to come out of, the pockets of each of the residents of the town. That's somewhat of a windfall to the school school residents. Those taxes obviously have to be calculated against what it's going to cost to keep the people here and what it's going to cost to educate the students. Not all costs are affected with a population increase. Some, the supervisor isn't going to get any more money just because there's another 300 people, but certain costs, highway, water, certain costs will increase. And when you look at the overall budget and the revenue that's derived from the tax levy and take a hard look at what elements go into the budget, we calculate that the increase in costs will be about $200 a person as actual increase in cost to the town. So this is a total expense of $64,000. compared to the town revenue of 195. So it will result in a net benefit to the town. Similar to the school. The schools enrollments have been decreasing regionally overall, but particularly in Yorktown over at least the past 5 years, probably longer than that, but I didn't want to go back too far. The current enrollment in the school district is 3,381 students, and we're adding 23 students. It's about 0.5%. So between the additional infrastructure that's available in the district and the minimal amount of students, we don't anticipate that that's going to present a problem for the infrastructure of the students. There's a cost to educate the additional students similar to the population, and we calculate that to be about almost $19,000 per student based on a review of the school budget and the costs that will be affected by an increase in students. But this results in a net benefit to the school district of $464,000 every year. So that is, as I said, the money that doesn't have to come out of the pockets of the families that live here and should result in a net benefit to them. We anticipate that the project will bring about 250 construction jobs and somewhere between 50 and 75 long-term jobs, and that the project will put about $4.5 million into the local economy from the needs of the people that live there. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Pretty good.
No?
Yeah.
Very-
Right.
Thank you for that analysis.
Say it again.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Very well thought.
Yeah. Puts everything in perspective.
This was the easiest meeting I ever attended. Thank God I lived around the corner. I expected the 13th item on the agenda was going to be about 9 o'clock.
We try to put Joe last.
That's right.
And we're up next.
So that's all we have for tonight. We did address the Westchester County Planning Department referral letter. We just got it to you this afternoon, but we did address that. I think it's pretty clear, pretty straightforward what our responses are. And we're scheduled for June 16th for our PIH, and we're looking forward to that. 13th, sorry. And we'll look forward to that. And next week will be before the Conservation Board.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nice seeing you.
6:13.
All right, next on the agenda.
Motion to adjourn.
What? There's a
What else
14th
you got?
item. You didn't know about it? No, they just didn't tell you. Motion to adjourn.
Motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Huh?
I know.
Nancy was texting me. Stall.